regular meeting, March 9th, 2015 to order. Can we have a roll call?
Miriam Bazzi.
Present.
Joseph Guido.
Joe is not going to be here this evening.
Mary Lane is here. Roxanne McDonald.
Here.
Michael Mead.
Here.
Mary Petchlikoff.
Here.
President Scholas.
Here. Next item.
Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Ms. Nada Lamberti, principal of Cotter Preschool, will introduce students who will lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
I don't have any. I'm so excited.
I know, it's so cute with the little kids. Step right on up.
Go back to your same spot.
We have children from Ms. Haddis's class at Cotter and Mr. Leap's class at Whitmore Bowles that are going to say the pledge for us, and their teachers are going to introduce them.
This is Hassan Abdullah, Rakeya Hasham, and Leah Howley. And Hussein Masbel is supporting us.
All right.
And I have Victor Bartolome, Brianna Kutsi, Dina Ilian, Larry Frederick, and Zachary Parker.
You ready? Hands on your heart.
I
pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Bruce, come here.
We have certificates for you guys, but I'm going to give them to your teacher to hand out to you.
That's a hard one.
It's very nice that the children are here and their parents are here to join us.
Great job.
Yeah. You know, every time I see the thing that goes around Facebook all the time about how, you know, we don't say the Pledge of Allegiance in our schools anymore, I just want to scream and show them a video like this.
We
It's
do.
the best part of our day.
I know. And it's
At all of our schools.
It's a shame that rumors tend to get more airtime than
The truth.
good things that are happening. Thank you so much.
And the good news, of course, parents, is you don't have to stay unless you want to.
Yeah. Yes, you're more than welcome, but not required. Next item.
Superintendent's update, agenda items.
I do have 2 items under agenda. We have 4 retirements. Lynn Genron, Forts and Phys Ed teacher of 29 years. We have Teresa Scapatici, who will be retiring from Human Resources, just under 20 years. Melanie Miley from Woodworth, 36 plus years. And Karen Tomasi, 20 plus years of adult ed. So we congratulate all of those and thank them for the difference they made in the lives of children here in Dearborn. And then secondly, in your bid packet, it talks about glazing at Lindbergh for $566,000. And of course, that's the new windows at Lindbergh. So if you saw the glazing, you might be wondering why we're spending so much on glazing. But that is for the new windows at Lindbergh. And then under non-agenda items, I have 2. In your board briefs, you did get a priority and focus school report as required by law. And I just have to mention it that you've gotten that report, so it's on the record. And secondly, I'd like to just very quickly talk about the Youth Affairs Committee. The members of the Dearborn Youth Affairs Commissions work to bring together high school students from across the city through activities that promote teamwork and understanding. This month, they're coordinating 2 important projects to benefit the students and our city. Please plan on attending the 2nd annual Dearborn's Got Talent citywide talent show featuring the talent of our high school students from across Dearborn on Tuesday, March 31st at 6:30 at the Ford and Community and Performing Arts Center. And if you went last year, it was a real treat to see the talent of our students, all types of different types of talent. So
What was the date again?
it is Tuesday, March 31st at 6:30. Tickets are on sale now at the high schools and at the Ford and Community Performing Arts Center box office. The Youth Affairs Commission also is coordinating a campaign to gather community input into selecting an official tree to represent the city of Dearborn. They're asking residents to vote for their favorite tree through a social media and internet campaign called Tweet a Tree. The district encourages community participation in the program to support the hard work of the Youth Affairs Commission and to promote sustainability and knowledge about trees and the importance of trees in our community. Information about how to vote is on the Dearborn Public Schools website. Once the official City of Dearborn tree is selected, one tree will be planted at each of our high schools where students are serving from the Youth Commission, and that's of course Dearborn High, Fortune and Edsel, and Divine Child. The winning tree will be announced at the end of March, so good work by the Youth Commission. And that's all I have to report.
Trustee Lane?
I'd like to ask Superintendent Whiston a question about the Lindbergh windows. That's an historic building, so I know that when there was a proposal before to replace those windows, it came in really high. I'm just wondering if the windows that are being put in are maintaining the historic integrity of the building, if that's possible.
Yeah, as you'll remember, our first bid to go out for windows, it's the only project in phase one that we hadn't completed because the bid came back around $1 million, Jeff, I think. And so that was way out of line for what it should have been. So we've gone re-out the bid and it's $500,000. And this does keep the building in its beautiful historic.
Yeah, the windows at Lori that we put in a few years ago, they're going to be similar to that. So we try to keep that, integrity of that building too. So.
Thank you.
Okay, next item.
Non-agenda items?
Oh, he covered both of them.
Covered both.
Citizen participation. I don't think we have any blue cards at this point. No blue cards, so there's no citizen participation.
Moving on.
Approval of minutes. Approval of minutes of the following Dearborn Board of Education meeting. Sorry, approval of minutes. Yeah, I guess of the following meeting. Regular P12 meeting, February 9th, 2015, Board Report 14-101. Make any recommended action, make any necessary corrections, and move approval of these minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, please attach unanimous affirmative vote. Next item.
Recognition and acknowledgement, commendations.
We do have a reader here.
Yes, the reader is Robert Pacco from Dearborn High School.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
First off, we have Nolan Elementary. Commendations to the Nolan Elementary students who did a tremendous job in February, raising $998 for the good work of the American Heart Association during this year's Jump Rope for Heart fundraising efforts. This beat Nolan's 2014 record by over $400. Next, we have Henry Ford Elementary. Commendations to the students, parents, and staff at Henry Ford Elementary for great attendance and wonderful experiences that they offered at their second annual Family Engineering Night. More than 300 participants packed the school February 12th, 2015. Families and friends worked on engineering challenges that promoted creative problem solving, teamwork, and communication, and taught participants the important role that engineering plays in our everyday lives. Family Engineering Night was organized by Kathleen McCormick, a science enrichment teacher at Henry Ford Elementary School, and Patricia Hartshorn, a professor from the University of Michigan Dearborn's Natural Science Department, with support from the Henry Ford Elementary Science Committee and staff, along with many community partners. Next up is Fordson High School. Commendations to the Fordson wrestling team, who earned their 4th straight district wrestling championship. Congratulations to Fordson coach Faoud Zaban, who was named Region 13 Football Coach of the Year after guiding Fordson to one of its best seasons in the school's history. Congratulations also to Fordson coach Mohammed Waibazi, who was named Region 13 Best Defensive Assistant. Commendations to Fordson student Jamil Sabah, who was named Dearborn Press and Guide Football Player of the Year. Next we have Dearborn High School. Commendations to Dearborn High Junior Jamalia Nasser, who recently published the book What He Never Knew. Jamalia shared details about her teenage romance novel during a book signing event held at Barnes & Noble in February. Congratulations to the Dearborn High Dearborn High vocal music students who participated in the Michigan School Vocal Music Association Solo and Ensemble Festival on February 14th. It was an outstanding day because all of the Dearborn High students qualified to participate in the state solo and ensemble in April. Congratulations to Abby Balaka, Alia Alatabi, Cameron Cherry, Jacob Depper, James Hatton, Maddie Kaplan, Katie Yockham, Julianne Sod, Alex Sheldon, John Vandervert, and Maria Viscomi. And as for the district, commendations to the Dearborn Public School District's webmaster, Chris Kenneberg, who was recognized for his contributions to the Moodle Online Collaborative Learning Forum for Educators. Chris was one of only 300 people around the world to be named Particularly Helpful Moodler. This is the third year straight that Chris has received this designation. Chris will also be the keynote speaker at an upcoming National Moodle Convention being held in Ohio. Moodle is an open source software used in the district to build websites and an online learning applications.
Moodler kind of fits Chris.
Quite a title.
Those are all the commendations. Thank you.
Well done.
May I ask you a question? I wanted to ask you a question, Mr. Packo, but I didn't want to interrupt the applause.
Sorry.
Just, if you don't mind, sharing with us what year you are, and I wondered what career you're thinking on?
I am a senior in high school, and I am planning on majoring in computer science when I go to college in the fall.
I think you could use broadcasting as a backup if you haven't considered it.
Maybe I'll minor in broadcasting.
Most melodious voice.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
That was great, thank you. Next item.
Acknowledgement of donations.
4 of them, please. A donation of $725 has been offered to Stout Middle School by the Dearborn Education Foundation to be used for the World in Motion in the technology program. A donation of $250 has been offered to Long Elementary School by the Dearborn Education Foundation to be used for headphones. And a donation of $1,560 has been offered to Oakman Elementary School by the Foundation for a Promethean board. And a donation of $1,000 has been offered to Salina Elementary School by Meyer in Allen Park to be used for games for family night. So we thank the foundation and Myers for these donations to enrich programs for kids. And no other.
Next item.
Special reports, signing for safety project, Mr. Brian Whiston, Dr. Gail Schenkman, Mr. Michael Shelton.
And we're going to turn it right around to Michael and his team.
Good evening, everybody. Board of Education, Superintendent Whiston. I'm Michael Shelton, Director of Special Education, and with me I have Lori Baker, Special Ed teacher in our Total Communication program, and 5 students from Dearborn High. And I thought best who to present signing for safety than our students that actually did the project. So, Lori.
Okay. Good evening. Thanks for allowing us to come and share our signing for safety project. As Mr. Shelton said, I'm Lori Baker, teacher of the deaf at Dearborn High School, and I'll introduce Jeannie Bailey. She's one of our interpreters who goes into the mainstream classroom and facilitates the communication between our deaf students, their hearing peers, and the general ed teacher. I'm going to let the students introduce themselves, starting with Jamar.
Hi, my name is Jamar Ricketts, and this is my name sign. It's really nice to meet all of you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, my name is Maria Barba. This is my name sign. It's really nice to meet all of you. Hi, my name is Jay Patel. It's really nice to meet all of you. Hi, my name is Talfa Ghanem. Here's my name sign, and it's really nice to meet all of you. Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Fanda Saeed. This is my sign name, and it's really nice to meet all of you.
The Language Arts curriculum junior year explores the essential question, do individuals have power over their own
We just want to make sure that the audience at home can hear
Thank you, I'm sorry. I'll start again. The language arts curriculum junior year explores the essential question, do individuals have power over their own environment? Reading apprenticeship routines are embedded in our classroom, and one way that we practice those strategies is with articles of the week. And when I'm searching for articles, I'm always looking for ones in which my students may make a personal connection as we explore this essential question. One of the early articles I found this year was about Jonathan Meister. He was an innocent deaf man from Hawthorne, California, who was loading boxes into his car. Police approached him, told him to stop. They were behind him. He didn't respond. They came around to the front of them, continued to talk to him. He attempted to tell them he was deaf using sign language, but police felt threatened and tasered him. So we were shocked. How could this happen? And we were curious, was this an isolated incident, or were there other deaf victims?
Deaf people have been beaten, tasered, and arrested, but remaining innocent the whole time.
No,
You can
want
use
to
this
give you
one.
This one right here. That way.
Thank you. Would you like me to do that again?
Sure.
Deaf people have been beaten, tasered, and arrested, but remaining innocent the entire time. When the police would approach a person, they would have no idea. Are they deaf? Are they hearing? Police officers really don't have any clue or understanding of sign language or deaf culture. Police have been made aware of the ADA law, that's true, but how it specifically relates to the deaf community and deaf rights, no. Now is the time for change. Law enforcement, deaf individuals must be safe.
We studied the stories of 4 other deaf individuals from across the country whose interactions with law enforcement also ended unfavorably. The connection to my students' lives was clear. This, too, at some point could happen to them. We want to emphasize, too, that the situations we studied did not happen because law enforcement was bad or that they didn't care, but it's often because there's not enough or no training at all done to ensure the rights of the deaf. In analyzing the stories, my students recognized that the problem was a breakdown in communication. Deaf citizens and law enforcement needed help in that area. We identified the problem. And in our research, we also found the solution in a program called Signing for Safety. We read about sign language interpreter Colleen Langdon from Seattle, Washington, and she developed this program. Her goal was to raise enough money to travel from Seattle, Washington to the state of Florida, stopping at 54 police departments across the country. She was going to help police learn how to identify when someone was deaf or hard of hearing. She was going to teach them basic emergency sign language. She wanted to teach how the Americans with Disabilities law related specifically to the rights of the deaf, and also a little bit about deaf culture. We wanted to help. Do individuals have power over their own environment? We decided that we do have power and wanted to make a difference for all deaf and hard of hearing people. We used our articles to collect, organize, and cite evidence as to why supporting Ms. Langdon was important. We wrote argumentative writing pieces that we presented to Mrs. Dirksey, our assistant principal. We convinced her this was a worthy initiative. She approved our request to film a broadcast that went out to the entire student body at Dearborn High School, appealing to them to help with our fundraising efforts. We set up a 3-day fundraiser in the cafeteria, and this allowed for great conversation between the hearing students and our deaf students. They wanted more information about the issues that they had presented in the broadcast. Staff and students donated $375 to this cause that we sent to Colleen. She was able to use that money to print emergency sign booklets that are now in 46 different police vehicles. We're proud of our efforts and thank you for our Dearborn High family for supporting us, and grateful to have Colleen Langdon be a voice for the deaf, working towards better communication and safety with law enforcement. As Toffa wrote in her reflection of her first semester, this project.
It was the highlight of my life. I will never forget it.
Thank you for allowing us to share our project.
Thank you.
Your question?
Well, first of all, I'd like to make a correction. I don't think it was the highlight of your life. It was the highlight so far. I expect you to continue going on, and you're making
That's
me
true.
really
I will be
emotional.
having more highlights.
You need to go on and keep having highlights like this. So that being said, I'd like to ask whether you've contacted the City of Dearborn, the Dearborn Police Department, to give a presentation like this. I think you need to keep pushing as a group to do this presentation. I'd love to have our city, and then after our city, our state be deaf-friendly. I'd like you to expand your publicity efforts so that people understand the issue and more people know of it. So I hope you'll think about that. I know you're busy with your homework and everything, but you have a mission, and I hope you'll keep working on it.
Well, Mrs. Peterson has offered the services of her son, a new graduate of the police academy, and he's going to come in and speak to us, and the kids are going to interview him about his training. And as a recent graduate, we want to see if he was educated about how to work with the deaf.
What a great
We certainly
endeavor.
would facilitate a meeting with the police chief as well.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great if you could go in front of our police department as a start?
Sure.
Well, it's interesting though, because it has been an issue in the city because we didn't, up until, if we have any right now, I know 5 years ago we had one police officer that spoke Arabic. And it's the same similar issue when you can't communicate with your public. It's a problem.
Well, we found in this one city, Hawthorne, California, there's one police officer who is fluent in American Sign Language. And this happened after this incident happened, that they were able to hire him. So anything with a deaf individual, not only, it could be like truancy in a school where you have deaf parents with a hearing child, well, the hearing child can take advantage. So this police officer is called to the home to facilitate the communication between the parents and the students. So just so that student knows people are watching just because your parents are deaf, you know. So it was interesting to follow up on a lot of different articles with this project.
Trustee McDonald?
On a similar note, I know that some of our hearing students take signing, and I was just wondering, how big is that population? Is there a lot of them? Or?
We have two full classes at Dearborn High School. In fact, my students just sat in the class yesterday or the day before. They were the hearing students were presenting a project on their family tree, and my students sat right in the front, and the hearing kids were very nervous. And the same thing happens when our kids are in those classes and they present. So it was kind of good to see it from both sides, both points of view. So they were welcomed into the class by the teacher, Mr. Molesky. So that was a good experience for them as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Trustee Lane?
Superintendent Weston and I were meeting with someone a little bit before. We were just talking about diversity, the diversity conference, I guess, that the 3 high schools put on. So I just wonder, were you a part of that? Does Edsel Ford and Fordson get an opportunity to learn about your program? Dearborn High knows about your program, but do the other high schools, the magnets, do the other schools
About the
know?
signing for safety
Well,
program, or
signing
just
for
about
safety, but also about the hearing impaired program.
Edsel Ford High School also offers American Sign Language as an elective.
I didn't know
there.
that.
Yeah. I don't
It
know
actually
about
counts now as a foreign language requirement.
Yeah, I
that. Yeah, they get
realized
foreign
that,
language
but,
credit for it. Yeah. So, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we should just be done with the meeting after that.
You know, actually,
Leave on a high
but
note.
before you leave, we didn't take the opportunity to learn thank you ourselves. I know I've learned this, but, oh, okay, thank you. All right. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Next item.
Evaluations update, Mr. Brian Whiston, Dr. Glenn Maleko, Chris Sipperly, Renee Ziaja.
As Dr. Maleko is coming forward, I just wanted to do a quick introduction on the Dearborn evaluation. This is one of the things the board in the past has made as a priority for the district, and I'm really proud that our Dr. Maleko and our union leadership got together on working on this issue before it became a requirement and a law. You know, we've really been a model, and I know that at least Chris and Glenn have been on the road doing some other PD at other districts, sharing with them, you know, this model. So it's something to be proud of as a board and as a district. And so you're going to get an update on it tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Whiston. I appreciate it. President Scholes, trustees. It's a privilege for me to be here before you this evening with two colleagues, the president of the Teachers Union, Chris Sipperly, and Renee Zasia, the president of the DFSE, Non-Instructional Employee Union. As you can see, there is a handout also I have in your packet.
Yep, she has it in front of us.
If you look here, the big changes that occurred with the evaluation as far as the state law was concerned was 2010 and then 2011. If you look at the timeline on this slide, we actually moved forward with similar changes several years prior to that in 2005. So we've always been kind of ahead of the game as far as evaluations go, and I think a lot of things here in Dearborn. In fact, Mr. Whiston and I just presented in January on our collaborative model, which involved evaluations at the State Superintendent Conference. It was very well received. So again, we're very proud of the support that you've provided so that we can do these things like have a positive collaborative relationship with the union. One of the big things you might see on this end of the slide is just there's a 4-category ranking. That was one thing we had to change in 2011 in alignment with the state legislation, and we've presented on that prior.
These are members of the DFT Teacher Evaluation Committee. As you can see, even though teacher evaluations are a prohibited subject of bargaining now, our committee consists of central office, teachers, and administrators. We also have teachers from each level, elementary, middle school, and high school, so we have input from everybody that's involved in this.
And we also have a new committee that we've put together this year. And
It comprises the DFSC and the DSOEA, which is the Engineers Union and the Support Staff Union, and it includes several other staff members from a variety of other departments in the district.
And again, our model is one of collaboration and working together. As you can see, we've been doing it with the administrators and the teachers, and now we're happy that the president here and the union members have come forward with the other unions so that we can work together for a positive model, because I find that that's the best when you can work together collaboratively and you have a greater buy-in from your employees. Again, we've mentioned how we're leaders. We're also leaders as far as training. The teachers union has been involved with recommending we use the Teachscape training where the principals had to go online. They received between 20 to 30 hours of training, and then they would also receive training at the monthly general administrator meetings or the principal forum. So it's been very intensive. At the end, and we've presented this before, but they had to take a test as well. It's about 7 hours in length, and so you know, everyone, including myself, has taken the test, and right now we've had over 80 administrators pass, and we're now into our 3rd cohort of training. So we're taking the training very seriously for you know, all of our employees as far as evaluations go. Our current model is based on the 2005 Danielson model, which is modified. Starting next year, we are going to be moving, as far as the teacher model, to the 2013 Danielson model, and it will be fully online. It'll be managed with an online system. We've already had some committee meetings, and we've had consensus between all the stakeholders that we do want to move to that model. We're not 100% as far as what the state will be doing, but we know that the Danielson model will be one of the approved models once the state passes their legislation, which we hope will be soon. Here's our weights. State law did require that we have 25% student growth, so we've broken that down, and again, in a collaborative manner. 75% is based on what we call observations, meaning the principals go in and observe. They also use the 5 standards within the rubric, and then they do their write-up based on what they see in the classroom. And then the 25%, 5% based on district growth, and that would be together as a whole. We feel like it should be collaborative team building. 10% building growth, we thought that's important as well, so that teachers work together collaboratively. And then 10% would be based on their own individual classroom. And I've listed some of the assessments that we've recommended. Again, one of the things that you know, we're following what the state is doing, because the state really hasn't given us a lot of direction. So we've decided, you know, with the NWEA, that is one of the assessments we've moved on this year, and it also helps our evaluation model. And here, I talked a little bit about that. As mentioned, there's, you know, the state, the initial deadline was supposed to be April of 2012. As you can see, nothing has been passed since that time. So we're going to do our best given the parameters that they have given to us, and we're very happy with what we're doing, and we're going to move forward, and we're going to make the evaluation model in Dearborn a positive experience for most employees, and we're going to use it as a tool so that we can enhance our effectiveness. Non-instructional, I also want to say with Renee here, Ms. Asia, we've really, it's been a real positive experience. We're looking to get for next year, the evaluation will be put into the non-instructional employees personnel file. That was something that we didn't have up until this point, but we're looking to move forward and really make it a positive experience, as I mentioned, for most, and use it as a tool, really a tool to enhance how we can deliver you know, our instruction and how the non-instructional employees support instruction in the classroom with all the important things they do. Administrator, I'll just hit on this briefly. We're waiting on the state, but what we're hearing is that there'll likely be one of 3 models at all administrators, so we'd have to choose a model here in Dearborn. We've heard other things that the state may give flexibility to the district. So again, we're not sure, but we're getting ready, and once we see if there's any changes that are made, we'll get the committee together and we'll review those 3 different models and make the appropriate recommendations to the superintendent and to you. Thank you for your support on the board. We appreciate it, and if you have any comments or questions, we can take it.
I just want to say that I think that evaluations are an important tool, but I personally don't believe in ambush evaluations, and I think that it's important to all of our employees that they know exactly what they're going to be graded on, just as we would any of our students. And I think that this would have been an impossible task without the support from all of the unions, and I think it speaks very highly for all of you standing up there right now to be able to work together on something that's this important. And it's not an easy task, but I think that it's well worth it. And I think it's good for us as a district, but it's also good for our employees. They know what the expectations are, just like we want our students to know what their expectations are. And I think that it's just going to help the district, and I appreciate that you guys have figured out a way to work together to make this happen, because it sure does make our jobs a lot easier.
Well, thank you, and it really has.
But it is important that we have the support of the unions. You know, it makes things happen a lot faster and a lot smoother when we work collaboratively together, and you guys have proven that that can happen. So I just want you to know that I do appreciate it from a personal perspective.
Thank you.
Trustee Petlishkov.
Okay, I've got a couple questions coming back on these. I know were in development when I first left the board. What's being implemented right at this point in time? Just the faculty instructional, or are all of them are being implemented? Yes. Are they? What's the timeline for when these evaluations take place? I mean, I'm assuming it's different for the different classifications?
Yeah, I mean, for the teachers, it's very rigorous. It's points in time throughout the year, and then the year-end evaluations have to be in May, and the reason is because the state requires reporting. For the non-instructional evaluations, it would be June, so it'd be, you know, the calendar year, just like with the teachers, you start in August, and then you would go into June, so they'd be.
But we can give you the calendar. That calendar.
So, I was just. This is a daunting task, I'm sure, for any building to try to incorporate amongst all their other obligations and duties, especially a larger building. How do we support the ability of the evaluations to take place for those who have to conduct it?
Well, one of the things that I do, and if you follow me on Twitter, you would see that. He's got a Twitter account.
It's on Facebook, too.
We do provide support to larger buildings, or if something happens in the building and they can't get it done, Dr. Maleko goes out, Dr. Tokel, Shannon Peterson, and Dr. Shankman go out and do evaluations to back up and help people. So we do provide support and do go out and help buildings do the evaluations if they need that assistance.
And we haven't found that we've fallen behind at all? Or
we get behind because things happen. Snow days happen.
Right.
The emergencies in buildings, the day you were supposed to do 10 walkthroughs and, you know, an emergency happens. So, yeah, we get behind, but we have to meet the end deadlines
We
because
start
not only do we
meeting
have
that,
to report to the state, but it impacts our staffing levels.
Staffing, based
So-
on the policies that you all approved a couple of years ago with the new law, so. And I'm able to spend a lot of time in the buildings, and thanks to Mr. Whiston for the support of allowing me to do this, and the resources we have in human resources with Mr. Cedarland allows me to go and spend an hour to 2 hours with the principal, do walkthroughs, talk about evaluations, and go in and do an observation when necessary. So that support, I think, is important as well to them, giving them the support.
I think it's great, too, that our principals are getting into the classrooms and seeing, you know, people always think of evaluations as being bad things, but the principals are getting in there and seeing the great things that our teachers are doing. And, you know, that's excellent, too, because teachers don't get much visibility with their own peers. Usually it's, you know, 6 to 18-year-olds that get to see what they're doing. So having the principals in the buildings, it helps understand what their strengths are, and then to be able to share those strengths with the rest of the building and other buildings. So I think it's great that the principals are in the classroom and not just dealing, you know, with discipline issues and paperwork in the office.
Some of the training that, you know, Dr. Shankman, Mrs. Peterson, and Dr. Chokel have implemented too is that the principals get together in instructional rounds, and they go together as a team, and then they discuss, and a lot of times they might watch a Teachscape video and then collaborate. I'm also doing this with Etzel and the two Salinas as a feeder tract. I go once a month, and one month we go into Etzel and we walk together with all the principals and Sue Stanley and with Mr. Loera. Then we go to Salina Intermediate, and then we go to Salina Elementary. And it's just helping that collaborative, and it's some real powerful conversations we're having. And I know Ms. Stanley says all of the principals are appreciative of it. So thank you for your support.
Trustee Lane?
I'm assuming that self-evaluation is one part of this, and the goal setting would be between the teacher and the administration.
And same with support staff.
And with support staff as well. Yeah, that's great.
Good
Very
job.
important, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Good work.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next item.
Action items. Are there any agenda items on this agenda which board members or the superintendent wish to discuss and vote on separately? If there are, we will exclude these from the motion
So we
below.
need to
Number 11
separate.
and 14.
Okay, so tell me that again. Yes.
11 and 14.
11 and 14. So the motion will be 1 through 13, excluding 11.
Correct.
Okay.
Any others? Okay.
Okay, move that action items numbered 1 through 13 be approved as recommended in this agenda with the exception of number 11.
So moved.
Support?
Any discussion? Any dissension? Please attach unanimous affirmative roll call. Do you want to do the summary?
Summary. Summary of agenda items just passed. Number 1, approval of warrants, which are items for payment by the district and have been reviewed by the administration. Number 2, approval of Promethean boards for O.L. Smith Middle School. Number 3, approval of analog line service provider. Number 4, approval of roofing, miscellaneous construction, access controls, secure entries, fire alarm installation system upgrade, and food service equipment contracts. Number 5, approval of contract changes. Number 6 through 9, approval of non-instructional and instructional personnel items for P12. Number 10, approval of financial statement. Number 12, approval of adoption of first budget revisions for 2014-2015. Number 13, approval of donations.
Excellent. Before we return to number 11, I just want to insert here that we will go into closed session after item 8, which is the discussion items. So if you could weave that into the recommended motion.
Okay. I didn't know I was going to be weaving or writing a motion, but after number 8.
You can do it. You're doing
thank you.
so well
I'm
tonight.
inspired by your confidence. Number 11, calling for a P12 executive session closed. Move that an executive session closed be held Monday, March 9th, pending board approval, which this motion will give, at the Administrative Service Center in the conference room to discuss a personnel matter per Section 8A of the Michigan Open Meetings Act.
So moved.
Support. We need a roll on this.
Correct.
Bezzy?
Yes.
Lane, yes. McDonald?
Yes.
Mead?
Yes.
Petchlikov?
Yes.
Schultes?
Yes.
Okay.
And number 14 is going to be moved on the agenda to after we return from the closed session. So that will be moved to between 8 and 9. So we'll return to that one after the closed session. Sorry to complicate things.
But you do it so well.
Yeah,
Just
I know.
keeping us
Just ask
moving.
my husband.
Okay, I'm trying to get with it here.
He'll agree with you.
Okay, so we are now up to,
Number 8, discussion items.
I was going to say number 8, no, discussion item, 30-minute time limit. First review budget 2015-2016, board report 14111, Mr. Brian Whiston, Mr. Samuel Barna.
And I will turn it over to Sam to make the presentation.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Good. How are you? Doing great. I just want to present to you this evening our 15 and 16 budget for next year, preliminary, based upon basically
All
what's
of the
come out.
unknowns that we don't
Yeah,
know yet.
based upon all the unknowns that we do not really have a high confidence level in right now in March. What's in front of you, or what should be in front of you, is first of all our enrollment outlook for next year. I have several columns there. Obviously, the first being our 13-14 actual at 19,450, our 14-15 amended budget, which we have at 19,585, and we have a 15-16 budget at 19,700 pupils. And so that is an increase of obviously 115 pupils, and I think that's probably a good indicator of what we're going to see in the fall of next year. As many of you are well aware, we've been basically trending at about 1% over what we originally budgeted months prior for the last couple of years. So I think that that's a pretty reasonable stance to take in terms of enrollment. For revenue, we've heard, as this will change, and that was the half of the joke a little while ago, in terms of our revenue at least. The governor came out saying that he will fund most school districts in the state at $75 per pupil. However, there's a caveat to that. That is the per pupil foundation allowance. However, he's not talking about the categoricals, which we count on as revenue into our general fund, which he will be eliminating in basically most instances next year. So that $75 will be resulting, if that comes to fruition, in really a net increase of $15 per pupil for 15-16. And really what that does is it represents a $30 decrease in best practices per pupil. We're currently getting actually $50 per pupil. That's going to be reduced next year to $20. And then we also have performance-based funding that we currently receive at $30 a pupil. That will be completely eliminated. So again, that $75 that the governor is touting is really going to be minimized at the very best to $15 per pupil. So that being said, even with that 15 per pupil multiplied times our population gives us an increased revenue base of $1.25 million. And so if you look further down at the page in terms of our expenditures, you know, obviously every year we have step increases for our staff, and so the expenses obviously increase year over year, and so these actual columns reflect those increases in costs for step increases. But that does reflect a assumed decrease in staffing, and specifically for the DFT, we assume that 35 teachers will retire throughout the next several months and through the summer prior to the start of school. In addition to that, so that helps offset our step increases as it does every year. In addition, though, we also have an 8 FTE decrease specifically for the DFT. And then furthermore, we have a 2.3% PA 152, which is our maximum that an employer in the state of Michigan, a public employer, can contribute towards health care. We have negotiated with the union in good faith, and basically all union groups, we are assuming a 2.3% increase in their health care funding for next year to help mitigate those increased costs year over year. And so those costs are also baked into this budget. In addition to that, we also have $100,000 for increased electrical utility bills as well as natural gas. Frankly, the natural gas has been down this year, even though we've had a really poor winter. Our staff, Jeff Burrick, Oris Dubb, and the like, they do a fantastic job, as they normally do, to really forecast our purchases and time them in a very appropriate manner. And that has saved us this year a fairly substantial amount of money. And so these increases that you see here are very, very small because we do such a great job in-house. And again, I want to thank Jeff Burrick and Oris Dubb for that great work that you do. In addition to all of the building engineers and everyone in those buildings and keeping the lights off when they are necessary or when they're not necessary, and obviously just doing a good job from a conservation standpoint. We appreciate that from a financial perspective as well. In addition to that, we have increases in building and site funds for next year. The building and site, as well as the athletic fund, are funded solely from the general fund. And so, as we have discussed in several meetings previously, we have just really reduced the funding in the building and site over the last several years. As an example, this year we're spending $500,000 from the general fund and transferring that to the building and site to do basically upkeep of the buildings that we are not allowed to use bond proceeds for. And so I am looking to increase those funding because, again, our buildings aren't getting any younger like me. And so the unfortunate part is we need to keep on dumping more.
$500,000 on you.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But to make a long story short, that $500,000 of that 350, or say 350 of that 500,000 is going towards the building and site fund, and I've aligned 150,000 of that to go to the athletics fund as well. And so again, we have a net overall fund balance assumed for next year of a little over $530,000. And there is one main caveat that I wanted to mention in regards to this year, and that is the second column of the graph that you're looking in front of you, the report that you're looking at in front of you. For 14-15 amended budget. We were recently made aware that the governor and then the House Appropriations Senate passed basically legislation to reduce our funding because there was a deficit in the general fund at the state level. And what that means is we're counting on $1.57 million of basically general funds that were attributed to our MIPSR's 147D revenue, which again I account for strictly in the general fund, and they took that away from us because of the deficit they were experiencing this year in the general fund. So that is not reflected in the revenue that you're looking at right now in the 14-15 amended budget. What this translates into from a cost perspective is, again, we're going to be losing $1.5 million in revenue that we had hoped. It's going to translate into, after all is said and done, I feel about a $1.15 million expense reduction this year. And so we're going to have to work through that as an administrative team. I know Brian has already made all of you aware of that. I just wanted to bring that up so that we were clear that these figures here in the second column do not reflect either the revenue loss nor the expenses that we're going to have to cut over the next several weeks to have that budget that appears in front of you. So, any questions?
I think I like the little kids saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
Another reason why Brian doesn't want to pay me what he had mentioned earlier. So.
Yeah, but you're nowhere near the average age of our building, even if you are.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, it is a compliment.
Even though they're very well maintained, I was going to say our buildings are very well maintained.
The much vaunted $15, is that going to cover the increased costs and inflation during the next year?
We're hoping it does, absolutely. And again, that's a caveat there because there could be a drastic change, as we're all well aware. The closer we get to the actual finalization of the 15-16 budget at the state level, could drastically change even that 75 that has been spoken about for next year's funding.
But really, a 1% inflationary increase on our budget is a $1.8 million.
Yes.
And $15 is nowhere going to cover
covering that,
No.
actually.
No,
It's really such a shame that they
it's terrible.
stand in public and say, I'm
I
invested in
increased it."
education.
Well, they don't give the full story again.
Oh, yeah,
you
well, I know
it's-
that.
yeah,
I
it's-
just think it's disgusting.
It's a
Here's
spin.
$75, now give me 60 back.
Well, I guess we're lucky that they're letting us keep 15. I mean,
Well, we're going to fight this, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Thank you.
thank you. Well, that's a downer.
Yeah, thanks, Sam.
Okay, so
So we'll
at this
adjourn to
point, we're going to hold this meeting in abeyance. We're going to recess briefly so that we can go into closed session, and we will return shortly. So I'm assuming they're going to take it off live TV, and we
Yes.
will rejoin you shortly.
We'll be in my conference room.
Okay, we'd like to resume the March 9th Board of Education meeting. It is 8:56, and we will continue by going back to action item number 14. If you would like to read the motion.
Item 14, resolution regarding charges against Mr. Stephen Trapp pursuant to MCLA Section 38.102. The Board of Education was provided copies of charges against Mr. Stephen Trapp pursuant to MLA Section 38.102 on March 5, 2015. The Board of Education will hold a closed session on Monday. On Monday, March 9th, 2015, to provide Mr. Stephen Trapp an opportunity to respond to those charges. The board will vote to proceed or not to proceed on the charges as set forth in the February 13th, 2015 charge against Stephen Trapp. Recommendation, move that the Board of Education proceed on the charges against Mr. Stephen Trapp pursuant to MCLA Section 38.102 amended.
Move on all charges?
Support. Any
Second. Oh, I'm sorry.
Got a motion.
And
Any discussion? Can we have a roll call, please?
roll call. Bezzy?
Yes.
Lane, yes. McDonald?
Yes.
Mead?
Yes.
Petchlokoff?
Yes.
Scholas?
Yes. Next item.
Acknowledgement of correspondence.
I don't think I've received any, other than my correspondence from Mr. Patterson about my correspondences. Anyone else?
Receive any.
Okay, next item.
Board of Education business, board member committee and organization reports.
Did either one of you want to
Yeah, I'll do
report
the,
on the?
we had a building site meeting earlier this evening and went over the progress of all the bond projects. We're almost 94% bonded out for our construction projects, and they're moving along quite nicely. We still have a contingency balance of about $3,800,000 that will be held for further discussion as the progress continues throughout the rest of the year. But everything is moving ahead, actually better than expected due to the winter weather conditions. So we're making good progress.
In spite of the winter weather conditions.
And we're making good progress.
The contingency balance was 3.8?
3.8 million, yeah.
Yeah, with the amount that is already been awarded, it's excellent that at this point in the game, we still have our contingency, because the contingency is built into the budget on purpose, because things happen, there's cost overruns and changes. So the fact that we are this far into the process, let's knock on wood that nothing major happens, but it is a good sign that we'll be coming in under budget, which is always a good thing for the taxpayers and for the students.
And historically the norm for the district.
Yes, yes, they have done an excellent job of budgeting and sticking to that budget. So we appreciate everyone's hard work. I know that you don't usually get to report on good news. We should have probably brought you up here for this. That way, you know, you could take off your bulletproof vest for a change. But they've been working very close, business services and building.
Jeff Bjork and building and grounds.
Building and grounds. That's our building and operations. I kept wanting to say building and site. But they've been working really well together, making sure to keep everything on track. And if you drive around, you can see that some of the construction has really taken a giant leap forward. I'm amazed every day that the progress that's being made at Henry Ford. I get to drive past it every day, so that's the one that I'm really familiar with. But and that's such a large project that, you know, I wasn't sure if we were going to really be able to get it done in the time that we said we were, but it looks like it's heading that way. There's also a bunch of smaller projects that are bid out based on our agenda tonight, and so those projects will be completed on schedule. So those are moving forward.
Come fall.
And so they're all bid out now, and so there'll be some projects that are going forward that weren't as major, but just as important for all of the buildings. So good job to everyone. Thank you. Anyone else? I don't think we had any other committee meetings. Next item.
Board member commentary.
Well, I would just like to say something. As most of you know, our superintendent has made the short list for the state superintendent position, and I think that it's important that the public understand and know what's going on. I don't want them to think that by any means that we're pushing him out the door or that he's running away from us, but I think this is an excellent opportunity, not only for Mr. Whiston, but also for the district itself to have somebody up in Lansing in a position of power that can help in the decision-making process that affects us every day is vital to us. So we wish him the best. The interviews happen next week.
No, tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. That's right. It's the 10th, and it's already the 9th. Gosh. So you know you're getting old when time just flies like that. So, well, then we should keep you out late.
I was thinking the same thing. Go in with bags under your eyes.
Yeah, exactly. See how you work. That way they can see how you work under pressure.
There you go.
No, but good luck to you. And I think that you already know this, but you have the entire support of the board. And we look forward to your success. And we look forward to if you're not successful. So it's a win-win, you know?
I do appreciate it. And like you said, Amy, Dearborn is an outstanding district, a community, outstanding board, outstanding administrative teaching staff, community. My wife and I love living here, so it's not that we sought this opportunity, but it is an exciting opportunity to take the great things going on in Dearborn and share them with the rest of the state. So we'll see what happens. Either way, I'm blessed, I'm lucky to work with this great board and to have this opportunity. So,
have they said when they expect to make their decision?
Well, they expect on Wednesday after the last interview, they'll probably narrow it down to 2 finalists to interview the following week, and then make a decision the following week. So we're talking about a 2-week time frame to have a decision.
Excellent.
I just want to add one thing. You were not a resident of Dearborn prior to you coming here, and I just want to say that you have embraced the community and the community has embraced you, and it's almost as if you have lifelong residents, you and Beth as well. So it's been very, very good for everyone.
And we're going to have a tough time finding somebody.
Now, let's not
who
go
gets
there. Let's not go there. Let's not jump the gun. There's a lot of great candidates for the job.
This is true.
But it's a great honor to be on that short list, and,
Yes,
and we're proud to have you at our home, and we wish you all the best.
Quite frankly, this board, the administrative team, and teachers are really why I'm the finalist, because it is the great work. This board holding us accountable to setting and reaching goals, and our great administrators and teachers who are helping us accomplish that. So I get a lot of the credit for it, but it's really all of your work that's just put me in this position. So I do humbly thank you for that.
A lot of forward thinking in the district as a whole.
And I think that the fact that you are considered speaks volumes as to this district. Absolutely. And how lucky we are to be in this district and have our students attending schools in this district. And I think I feel very lucky and blessed. So thank you.
Great. Yes.
I just wanted to comment on any function that the superintendent and myself attended last week at the invitation of the Dearborn Police Chief, where the Assistant Secretary to Homeland Security was supposed to be in attendance to speak with a room full of engaged community members from all walks of the Dearborn community, faith-based, law enforcement, and the civic programs, including the school district. The police chief gave a lot of praise to the work, the efforts that the Dearborn Public Schools has done with their anti-bullying program, as well as the college's efforts to step up student responsibility. The topic of the conversation, and unfortunately, because of weather issues in Washington, D.C., the assistant secretary couldn't get a flight out, so she wasn't actually in attendance and will be coming back to the city. But they were talking about foreign fighters and how to keep our community engaged and safe, and not to have to experience what some are experiencing in other countries. And we all agreed that the unique community environment here, and I'm especially proud of both our neighborhood associations and our parent groups, and would like to make sure that we continue to build bridges between them to make sure that no one, they said the leading marker for any of these young people becoming isolated in their community is what tends to motivate them to move into other avenues of experiences in their lives. So I think that we've already started strong programs here within the district, and would like to encourage all of our organizations, our civic organizations, to find ways to continue to communicate with each other and strengthen those areas of engagement with the young people in the neighborhoods.
Good point. Trustee Lane?
Are we under commentary still?
We are.
Okay. So under commentary, I would just like to thank Mr. Whiston for facilitating a visit by Malaysian delegation. Detroit gets a pretty good number of international visitors through the International Visitors Council and the U.S. State Department. And while our voices don't seem to be heard in Lansing, our education is world-renowned because the visitors from Malaysia specifically requested Fordson High School. And I heard from people that they were very, very impressed with Fordson, and I'd like to thank Mr. Whiston, and not just him, but Dr. Schenkman, Ms. Peterson, and everyone at Fordson for showing off one of our great schools. I just wish we could have a movie made about every school, so maybe in the future.
Fordson was in the Free Press.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, it was, because you probably, it didn't like glaringly say Fordson. It was about pools, pre-war pools that were in the Detroit area. And it actually had more pictures of Fordsons than any other pools. So that was kind of cool to see. So I don't remember the name of the title. I just remember looking at it. Anyway, anyone else? Next item.
Requests for information and future agenda items.
Trustee Lane.
Again, like I say, our voice doesn't seem to be heard in Lansing at all, but we get a lot of really good information through some of the listservs, and I read of a voice in West Michigan, the superintendent for Forest Hills Schools, who's released a public letter, Superintendent Whiston, talking about trying to make some sense of school funding and explaining to people how people frequently used to say to me, well, I thought we were putting the lottery money into education. Yeah, it did go into education, and then it was taken out of that and put into the general fund. So anyways, he's explained to his parents the rating of the the education fund to support the general fund. I think it supposedly made it pretty clear, so would like to know if you could get a copy of that from Forest Hills Public Schools.
Yep.
And share that with us. Maybe we could also address that when we're talking about the election upcoming on May 5th. I don't think anybody has any doubts that the roads are a total disaster, and everybody pretty much knows that the school aid fund has been raided for multiple purposes. But people need a way to make sense of it in trying to make up their mind for the election. So if you would obtain that. And then a second issue that I'd like people to consider, one that we normally think of in the college context, are massive open online courses, which are free courses through some of the world's greatest universities. Some people are saying that is going to drive down the cost of higher education, but one thing that I've noticed that is another discussion coming out of that, Superintendent, this is how it will relate to lower elementary, is that there is a movement to credential people called badging when they do take a course. In Michigan, we have the virtual online high school. And I wondered whether we ever get any transfers and what we will do or would do in that case. If we have other districts badging into Dearborn, do we issue diplomas, or has that been considered at all by the secondary ed?
I don't think we've had that conversation, so we'll have to bring that back to the board.
Something to think about.
Yep.
That's
Anyone
it
else?
for me.
Next item.
Superintendent's reports, personal commentary.
You took it. I was going to talk about the group that we did host.
I'm good at stealing thunder.
Yeah. We
Oh,
did.
Mary stole
Mary
the thunder.
Mary
I
stole
thought you
the
meant my
thunder.
thunder.
It was an outstanding meeting with the group, and they were really impressed with what we're doing. And one of the math classes, they walked into it in Fortson, had students who had been here a few weeks or months, and students who had been here for years, and the differentiation of instruction that was taking place in the classroom. And the teachers flat out said, "We can't do that. How do you do that?" And it's just marvelous hearing from educators in other parts of the country. And they, as you said, wanted to go to Fortson because they had heard great
No,
things.
Superintendent was in other parts of the
World.
World,
Yes.
We're internationally renowned.
Yes. So it was a nice visit. I do thank Shannon for coordinating it. Our principal and his team, he actually brought in a lot of teachers for them to talk to as well. So, and we visited, toured the school. So, outstanding visit. That's it.
Next item.
Future meeting dates. Monday, March 9th, P12 Board of Education meeting closed immediately following board meeting at the Administrative Service Center in the Frank Franchi Boardroom. Monday, March 16th, 2015, HFC meeting, 7 p.m. at the Andrew Mazzara Services and Conference Center in the Rosenau Boardroom, Henry Ford College. Monday, April 13th, 2015, P12 Board of Education meeting, 7 p.m. at the Administrative Service Center in the Frank Franchi Boardroom. Monday, April 20th, 2015, HFC meeting, 7 p.m. at the Andrew Mazzara Services and Conference Center in the Rosenau Boardroom, Henry Ford College.
We are adjourned.
And just to clarify.